Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're jumping right into some seriously fascinating, deeply rooted Eastern philosophical texts surrounding the concept of pua chivitiviwatana, which translates to for a prosperous life. We're going to objectively unpack these profound concepts and see exactly what these texts prescribe for finding vitality, true fulfillment, and honestly, a purpose that goes way beyond our everyday mundane grind. So, here's our roadmap for today's analysis. 1. The true meaning of life. 2. Harmonizing the human trinity. 3. Compassion and the body. And 4. Fulfilling your heavenly mission. Let's dive right into part 1, the true meaning of life and escaping the mundane cycle. The texts kick things off with a pretty stark observation about human complacency. They state, for the vast majority of people, their life ends without achieving anything truly meaningful. The philosophy really hits the nail on the head here, pointing out how incredibly easy it is for us to just get caught up in the day-to-day grind. We often wait until the very final moments of existence to realize the true value of life, and by then, the time to build something lasting is already gone. Which brings us to the core question of this entire philosophy. What are you truly leaving behind? The texts challenge us directly to look at our own legacy. Will your life just fade away quickly, leaving no trace, kind of like grass in winter? Or are you actively building a virtuous legacy that actually outlasts your physical body? This breakdown brilliantly illustrates the core duality in the text. On one side, you've got the mundane life, the endless, exhausting chase for fame, fortune, and fleeting sensory satisfaction. The texts argue this is basically an illusion that ultimately leaves us entirely empty. Contrasted with that, we have the cultivated life, which is all about nurturing wisdom, maintaining a plain, wholesome diet, and actively cultivating integrity. It's a completely different way of operating. Moving right along to part 2, harmonizing the human trinity of mind, body, and spirit. Okay, so here's the absolute crucial definition to wrap our heads around. The Trinity of man is described as the interconnected system of spirit, mind, and physical body that must be reconciled as one to sustain true life. According to this philosophy, true prosperity is quite literally impossible if you neglect any single part of this trinity. You can't just be spiritually enlightened but physically wrecked, right? Or physically fit but spiritually vacant. They have to operate together as one single unified system. The source material uses this fantastic visual metaphor to explain it. Like a tree, leaves cannot be separated from stems, neither can stems be separated from roots. It's so simple but profound. Without nourishment from the roots, the stems wither and the leaves wilt. Physical actions, mental clarity, and spiritual nourishment are entirely interdependent. If one part of your system is starved, the whole tree or the whole person suffers the consequences. Which brings us to part 3, compassion and the body, or the spiritual diet. Now, it's really important to note that these texts absolutely do not ignore physical success or bodily needs. A prosperous life requires robust health to achieve what the texts call creative big works and to fully reach your potential. They argue that bodily health isn't some distraction from spiritual goals. Actually, it's the absolute necessary foundation for achieving those higher aims. You need a strong, capable vessel to do the heavy lifting of a purposeful life. So, how do we get that robust health? The texts explicitly prescribe a specific path, heavily emphasizing the benefits of a compassionate vegetarian diet. First, they assert it provides wholesome nutritional value, actively dispelling myths about nutrient deficiency while preventing disease. But here's where it gets really interesting. It bridges the physical and the spiritual. It fosters deep compassion for all sentient beings, and fundamentally, it breaks the karmic cycle of debt and reincarnation. Within this framework, what you eat isn't just a physical health protocol, it's an active daily spiritual practice. And the philosophy takes a pretty firm, unyielding stance on the alternative. It states, the consumption of animal meat merely caters to fleeting gastronomical pleasures, driven solely by sensory gratification. From the perspective of these teachings, indulging in meat is seen as an illusory desire. It ties individuals to negative karmic consequences, basically just to satisfy the tongue for a few seconds. It's categorized squarely as one of those mundane pursuits that distracts us from true, lasting cultivation. Finally, we've reached part 4, fulfilling your heavenly mission, expanding from the self to the world. The texts lay out this really beautiful outward ripple effect. It all starts with cultivating the self, getting your own internal house in order first. Once you do that, then you can harmonize the family. From a stable family unit, you move outward to govern the nation, which means contributing positively and ethically to society. And finally, bring peace to the world. The philosophy teaches that deep, internal spiritual work eventually leads to transforming the whole world into a pure land. This leads to exactly why human action is considered so incredibly vital. The text has this amazing line: "Heaven cannot speak, earth cannot speak. Only humans can act as the voice of heaven." That is a profoundly empowering concept. The universe has an intention for truth and harmony, but it lacks a physical voice. Humans have a unique, active duty to be that voice. We are the required active agents of positive change, meant to spread the truth and rescue others from suffering. So what does this actually look like in our day-to-day lives? The texts prescribe exact daily habits. Propagate true teachings impartially. Align your daily actions with the ways of the sages. Inspire others through your upright character, and keep your conscience at ease. The absolute crucial takeaway here is that achieving this heavenly mission isn't about one massive, grand gesture. No, it requires quiet, highly intentional discipline demonstrated every single day. Which brings us to our final provocative question to wrap up this explainer. Will your life fade like grass, or will you build a legacy of true prosperity? By harmonizing your mind, body, and spirit, and by acting as a daily voice for compassion, the source material suggests you can absolutely achieve the latter. We'll leave you to reflect on the true purpose of your own daily actions and what legacy you are actively choosing to leave behind.